Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for tonight's program. My name is Rachel, and I'm with the Programming Department here at Kent District Library. Tonight, I'm very excited to be joined by Legal Aid of Western Michigan. I would like to introduce Noah and Kelsey. Hi, thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having us. So first, let me tell you a little bit about Legal Aid of Western Michigan. We are a nonprofit law office. We deliver free, high-quality legal help to people and families who live in or near poverty, along with many seniors. People come to us when civil legal problems threaten their lives and livelihood. Our clients include individuals and families at risk of losing a home, dealing with family law issues, or who need help accessing medical, food, and basic income benefits. We are also growing our project to help people get criminal record expungements. Tonight, we'll be discussing the recently amended Clean Slate statute. We'll talk you through the expungement process and help you understand your eligibility. Before Kelsey and I get going, I have to cover some formalities. This is not legal advice. Nothing in this presentation is a substitute for a private consultation with an attorney regarding a legal problem. If you have questions, you can write them in the comments box. Remember to keep questions general. Don't include any personal details. Also, we're recording this program and we'll make that recording available on KDL's Facebook page right after the event. Okay, now who are we? I'm the pro bono supervising attorney at Legal Aid. I train volunteers on the expungement process and spend a lot of nights and weekends organizing and volunteering at expungement fairs across West Michigan. Kelsey is the expungement project attorney at Legal Aid. She spends the day screening applicants for expungement eligibility. So let's go. Here's Kelsey to get things started.
Okay, so why are we talking about criminal record expungement? About 1 in 3 adult Americans has some form of a criminal record, and even very old records for minor offenses can follow people around and appear on background checks as you're applying for jobs, housing, or even to volunteer at your child's school. This can be a big problem for people that want to leave mistakes in their past, but there's good news. Michigan has recently expanded their eligibility for expungements with Clean Slate and other laws. The laws are complex, but they do 2 big things. First, more kinds of convictions can now be set aside when you apply for an expungement. And second, certain types of convictions will automatically fall off your record next year with the new Clean Slate laws. We're not going to get into every single detail here tonight. We'll count down the 5 biggest tips that will help you or someone you know apply for an expungement. And we should have some time for questions at the end of the presentation. And here we go on with tip 1 with Noah.
All right, so tip 1, what are your options for applying for an expungement? There are 2 basic options. You can do it yourself or you can get an attorney to help you. If you're interested in filing for an expungement on your own, there are multiple resources out there to help you. The actual application form has instructions, and MichiganLegalHelp.org is a great resource as well. They have self-help tools to help you screen for eligibility and fill out the application. Here in Kent County, we also have the Legal Assistance Center located on the 5th floor of the Kent County Courthouse. They will help you fill out your application forms. You can certainly call Legal Aid of Western Michigan if you need assistance. If you meet financial eligibility guidelines, we will screen you for expungement eligibility and represent you at your hearing. So let's move on to tip 2.
It's important to understand how the waiting periods work with the new law. Under the new law, waiting periods are critical. If you're seeking to set aside misdemeanor convictions, you have to wait 3 years before you file your application to set aside your conviction. If you are seeking to set aside 1 felony or a serious misdemeanor, you must wait 5 years before you seek to set aside your conviction. If you are seeking to set aside multiple felony convictions, you must wait 7 years before you file your application to set aside conviction. And this is very important. You need to pay attention to when your clock starts because it doesn't always start at the day you were sentenced. The waiting period starts at the whichever of the following events occurs latest. That could be the day you were sentenced, your discharge from probation, your completion of parole, or your release from confinement. And it's also important to note there can be no criminal convictions during your applicable waiting period, and you can have no criminal convictions pending when you apply for an expungement. You need to wait for your case to resolve before you review your eligibility for expungement. Let's move on to tip 3 with Noah.
Okay, so tip 3, understanding the one bad night rule. This is a rule that allows for if 2 convictions occurred within a 24-hour period and arose from the same events, they can be treated as a single conviction under the new law. So what does that mean? If you have more than 3 felony convictions, generally you would not be eligible for an expungement, but you could potentially still be eligible for an expungement using one bad night. So always check to confirm that some of your convictions wouldn't fall under the one bad night rule in the statute. Be advised, the following types of convictions are excluded from one bad night: assaultive crimes, crimes involving the use or possession of a dangerous weapon, or a crime with a maximum penalty of 10 or more years imprisonment. One bad night is just one example of how complex this new law is. So don't hesitate to seek out advice if you are not sure how the law will impact you. On to tip 4.
So it can take a long time to go through the entire process. To apply for an expungement, you have to fill out an application to set aside your conviction. You have to get a certified record of your conviction from the court you were convicted in. You also need to get fingerprinted on an RI-008 card from your local police department. And then you need to obtain a $50 money order made out to the state of Michigan. And once you've gathered all your documentation, you should call the court you're convicted in and ask their filing process for expungements. Different courts have different procedures. Many courts will give you a hearing date at the time of filing. If they do, you need to fill out notice of hearing on page 3 of your application. Okay, and the next steps are really important. The court cannot hear your case unless you've completed the following: send a copy of your application and a copy of your certified record of conviction to the prosecuting attorney and the Office of the Attorney General. Additionally, you'll need to send a copy of your application to the Michigan State Police and a copy of your certified record of conviction to them as well. With that, send your fingerprints and your $50 money order. After you've done that, fill out proof of service on page 3 of your application. Here in Kent County, most courts are scheduling hearings about 4 months from the time of filing. And about a month before your hearing, you're going to want to call the court and see if they received the Michigan State Police report and a response from the Office of the Attorney General. And I would just generally advise everyone to practice patience with the process. With that said, let's move on to tip 5 with Noah.
All right, tip 5. Automatic expungement rules are set to start in 2023. In April of 2023, certain convictions will automatically fall off your record. This process will allow up to 2 felony convictions to automatically fall off your record. It will allow 4 misdemeanor convictions punishable by 93 days or more, and an unlimited number of misdemeanor convictions punishable by 92 days or less to fall off your record as well. But be advised, certain convictions are not eligible for automatic expungement. Convictions for the following, if punishable by 93 days or more, are not eligible for automatic expungement: assaultive crimes, serious misdemeanors, crimes of dishonesty, crimes punishable by 10 years or more of imprisonment, human trafficking offenses, and a number of convictions that involve a minor vulnerable adult, injury, serious impairment, or death. You would also not be eligible for automatic expungement if you have been convicted of more than one assaultive crime. The waiting period is also different for automatic expungement. Felony convictions are removed from your record after 10 years, and misdemeanor convictions are removed after 7 years. automatic expungement does follow the application process in that there can be no convictions during the waiting period and no pending criminal charges. If something does not qualify for automatic expungement, you can still file the application and go through that process. So that's our 5 tips. To wrap up, I'll give a quick recap and see if there are any questions out there. So we've talked about how you apply in the application process, the importance of waiting periods in the new law, the one bad night issue, the length of time it can take to get an expungement, as well as automatic expungement. Now I will open this up to any questions, although please remember that we can only answer general questions. Any questions out there, Rachel? No?
I don't see
Oh, I'm
any.
so sorry. I was muted. No questions as of yet.
Okay.
But I did share in the comments your tips for those of you who would like to follow that link.
Great. Thank you. We can wait a couple more minutes just to see if there are any more questions, but while we wait, I'll go ahead and let you know that here's some general information about legal aid, including the types of cases we can accept and how to get in touch with us. So thank you to the Kent District Library and Rachel for having us tonight. And thanks to all of you for joining in.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of your expertise. So that does wrap up for tonight. But for everyone else at home, oh, we do have one question. If I can bring you guys back up, we do have one question.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yes, the question is, what is a general amount an attorney will charge?
That's a good question. It really depends. So if you are able to come to legal aid, there would be no charge from us. If you are hiring your own attorney, different attorneys handle this a little differently. Kelsey, after I'm done, you can jump in if you know more. Some charge a standard flat rate for an expungement. Some, it would just be an hourly rate, depending on what their hourly rate is. I believe I've heard anywhere from $500 to $1,500 as a flat rate for expungements. Does that sound right to you, Kelsey?
That's what I've heard as well. Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely going to depend on where you're located as well, and how many expungements you have. With expungement, there is generally one application that you would file in each court. So you could have a number of convictions in one court and it would be one application. But if you have, 3 different convictions in 3 different courts, the application would be filed wherever your conviction was. So it might be more expensive if you have multiple convictions in multiple courts. But thank you for the question.
All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions, but thank you both again so much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. What I was saying before there was be sure to check out kdl.org/events for even more of our upcoming events. And thank you all so much for joining us tonight.